Tonight,
and the trolley.
tonight our class is L'ilui Nishmat in memory of Simi Vaknin Bat Chaviv Azulay, who passed away on the 26th of Cheshvan, Tafshin Aydalid. It's Yafa Platt's mother. And it's in her honor that we're learning tonight.
She was
And the Shema should have an Aliyah Gan Idim.
Amen.
המלכים מקום מידה מחוץ מחמכם בנפש רוח ושמה שנתם של טוב לעולם שימי וקלין מתחיל ואוזלי רוח חלרית לכן הבנים וחומץ ושמות ומערכת ומסליחות וכן ירצון ונאמר אמן. Come close.
Yeah, he was.
He was.
Where
Who?
is he?
Jeff.
Jeffrey was here.
Well, in this class you snooze, you lose.
No, we already moved him once.
To understand today's class, you're going to have to stop being yourself.
Stopping?
It's not usual that I tell you stop being yourself. But for the most part, people come with a lot of pre-programming.
Yeah.
You hear one thing, it sets off another thing, and then you assume something else. Oftentimes, there are things that in our Torah look one way, but if you think about them properly, they appear another way. There are things that people do today claiming to be in the name of the Torah. You see something similar in biblical times, and you figure, they must be right. That's what the Torah wants. And then you realize, yeah, they're similar to each other, but there are nuances that were lost in current times that make it very different from how things were in previous times. So here, Rabbi Yonatan Halevy is going to take a note, a tangent. And he writes here on page 324, He'ara, a note. איני סבור שיש צורך לבאר לך דבר הסתפקותם ואת פרישותם של נביאים. I see no need to describe the contentment and abstinence of the prophets, או שפרישותם היא הקודמת והסתפקותם נובעת ממנה, or it explains to you that first they had abstinence and then they were content with what they had. That was the order in which they reached that level. והגאווה נטולה מקרבם. And conceit, arrogance, ego, pride, whatever word you wish to use for gava, was removed from inside of their heart. You know, rabbis tell us that when someone gives tzedakah to another person, they're not the one doing the favor. The famous Trunson Forrest, who was a Roman, asked Rabbi Akiva, if your God loves the Jewish people so much, why did he create poor people? And he said, in order to give the wealthy the opportunity to do tzedakah. Most of us here are not familiar with how real tzedakah works. We give a few. I'm not talking to a bit Knesset. I'm talking about you see a person on the side of the road who doesn't have. Most of us have not done tzedakah with it. We've done some act of kindness towards them, of giving them $1, a granola bar, a water bottle. Tzedakah would mean to take care of this person. People take in stray cats, they take in stray dogs, they take in stray objects from the dumpsters, but they never take in stray human beings. It's very rare to find a person, oh, we have a stray human. We have somebody who didn't have where to go, but now they have a place to go. Our house. I'm not telling you also, by the way, I'm not telling you that that's what you should go do. Don't go running around looking for people to bring to your house. That's not what I told you. But tzedakah is something much deeper than giving somebody $1 bill. That's not tzedakah. Do you get a mitzvah for it? Of course. But it's not supporting another person. Don't fool yourself. You make a paycheck and they take off a few $100s for Social Security and medical insurance or whatever else. Don't fool yourself that your few $100s you give every month is supporting anybody. Don't fool yourself. Do yourself a favor. Get a little bit of your ego out of the way. Yes, collectively, with millions of Americans, you are taking care of people, but you are doing absolutely nothing. You're giving a little bit to help towards a cause. I'm not here to put you down. I'm here to tell you, tzedakah is much bigger than a few $100s you give every month. I don't do enough tzedakah to tell you that I have taken a person and I support them fully. There are people who do this. There sure are. And there may even be people around this table that do it, or have done it, or will do it if their need ever arises. As Zvulun Yitzchak, that's over there. You have two people, correct, that are helping each other out. So Rabbi Akiva says the reason why there are poor people is to give the opportunity to the wealthy to support them. When our parents gives tzedakah to somebody, he tells the person he's giving to, "Thank you very much." Toda rabah. What do you mean toda rabah? I say no. You are giving me the opportunity to give. It flips the whole concept of charity on its head. So who's doing charity with who?
The one that received.
The one who's receiving is helping you get a mitzvah. What did you do? You just gave money. But I gave money. That's a big deal. HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows how to take money even if you don't give it to poor people. It can come in the form of a bill. It can come in my $82 penalty that I paid late for my registration.
Yeah.
Maybe I was stingy with a poor person. Hashem says, watch, I could take those $82 without asking you. Maybe Khalil comes out in a medical bill. Hashem Yishmol comes out in some kind of other thing that we have to take care of that we didn't plan to take care of. So the fact that you use your money for tzedakah simply reduces the amount that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has to take away from you. In which case we realize our money is not ours. I know Chachamim talk about it a lot. Our money is not ours, bitachon. I'm not here to sell you some cheap version of bitachon and trust in Hashem. But if you really believe that what you have is given to you, some for you to have, and some for you to do mitzvot with, that's why Hashem gives you extra. I don't feel like I have extra. We've all lived on less than what we have today. All of us. So what we have is extra, like we said yesterday. We know what we can get by with. We have more than that. Baruch Hashem. But don't for a moment be fooled that when a mitzvah, an opportunity comes your way to do something useful, something that HaKadosh Baruch Hu intended that money for, that we can get away with it. In fact, when we do that mitzvah, we're simply saying, Hashem, look, I'm a good bank. You give me more money, I'll keep doing these things for you. Would it bother anybody if the door is closed?
No.
Is anybody like too warm? No. Okay. I don't do my closing the door.
Is there a difference between giving charity and giving tzedakah, or is
We
it
can
the
open it
same?
again.
Is it the same thing to give charity as tzedakah, or
Yeah, charity is the English word perhaps for tzedakah, but charity implies in it that I'm patronizing somebody else. I'm doing them a favor. The word tzedakah, to the contrary, is from the word tzedek, of righteousness. I'm doing what's supposed to be done with the money that I have. So in that word of tzedakah, it doesn't have a connotation of doing somebody a favor.
Yeah, charity is like totally neutral as far as optional or mandatory.
It's also true. That's a good point. Charity is like, you check out at the grocery store. Would you like to donate $1 towards that? That's charity. No. No. In fact, I have stood by cash register before, and I'll tell you that there are certain populations, and it's not those with money, that always answer yes to that question. Almost a rule. When I stand there and I listen, do you want to donate $1 to Rady's Children's Hospital, to Ronald McDonald, I don't know, whatever they're fundraising for, the homeless veterans of San Diego, most of the time it's the people that don't look like they have so much. They're always saying yes. And it could be that I'm wrong, but from what I've paid attention to,
It's true.
it could be a certain feeling of I know what it's like to not have something. So it could be that my inclination to give tzedakah is greater. But what this does is it shifts a whole perspective on how you look at people who receive tzedakah. We are raised in the United States of America. That's where most of us were raised. And if not, then in North America, and if not, then in a Western society, which has, thanks to all the wonderful queens and kings of England, developed this concept of deserving and undeserving poor. This is a very old British discussion. And those of you who went through your history classes properly were familiar with this conversation better than I am. I can decide that a certain person who is crippled and sitting in a wheelchair is deserving of my disability insurance. But the one who has another handicap that's not physically visible, I have decided he doesn't deserve my help. It's something that happens in this country every single day.
The get a job mentality.
Very good. And
why didn't you get a job?
And that guy, I understand, so he can't walk. What's your excuse? You don't know what their excuse is. Now, again, I will tell you what I told my class on Monday morning, yesterday. I'm not here to justify people who abuse any kind of welfare system. That's not the point of this conversation today. Let's just talk halachot today. But even if there are people who abuse that system, I'm not in charge of the system. I simply am part of that system. Sometimes I take from it, sometimes I give to it. Some of us, Baruch Hashem, never had to take from it, so maybe we're just always giving to it. But it's not in my direct control who takes and who doesn't take. Yes, I could vote for people, and I could just try to set policies, and I could try to petition different rules. That's true. That's within your rights and your freedoms to do so. But just because there are people who are abusing the system doesn't mean we have the right to opt out of it. But again, that's not what I came to talk about here today. But when Trans Forest asks Rabbi Akiva, why would HaKadosh Baruch Hu create poor people? Rabbi Akiva's answer is, that's not the question. The question is, why does HaKadosh Baruch Hu create people who have money? And that is the answer, to give the people who don't have. That's why Hashem created that imbalance. It's meant to make people dependent on each other.
So they have more responsibility?
People, sure. There are some people that are chosen to serve Hashem in a taking role. And some people that are chosen to serve Hashem in a giving role. And both of those people, if you think about it properly, are really giving in a different way. One is giving the opportunity for us to use what Hashem gave us properly. So we're taking from Hashem but giving to somebody else. And somebody else is taking from us but giving to Hashem. HaKadosh Baruch Hu created a world like this. And unless we are able to purge ourselves of our mentality of what is tzedakah and who deserves my money and who doesn't deserve my money, we will not truly be able to wrap ourselves around the concept that Rabbi Avraham ben Rambam is trying to teach us right now. Because he's not done yet.
We've spoken before about people who come from Israel to raise money here and the issues with that.
I'm not talking here specifically, at this point, I will actually in a minute, but I'm not talking about people who are sitting in kollel, who are drinking 15 cups of coffee every day from a Keurig machine and expecting you to support them. Here, I'm not talking about this conversation. And in fact, that's why I'm prepping you for this. Because we have in our mouths a bitter taste of people who take money from us under the assumption that they're studying Torah and we need to support them, it's going to be very difficult for us to swallow what Rabbi Yonatan Halevy says next. Because he's talking in a world that does not have that level of corruption. Nobody steals for the sake of the Torah. That would be if Rabbi Yonatan Halevy would know what we're doing today with the Torah, he would probably just, I'm done writing the book. There's no purpose of writing a book to people who are using the Torah to steal, using the Torah to hurt people, using the Torah. I mean, that would be really such a crazy concept. So look what he says now. I have to tell you that this piece is perhaps more significant to some of us than to others, myself included. This piece means more to me than it might mean to you. And not because I'm in a different place than you, but because the nature of how I receive my parnasah is different than the way other people receive their parnasah. And I say that with a lot of, it's not comfortable for me that's the way that works, but when a person sits down and says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, what is it that you want me to do in my life? You have to say, there's also what Hashem wants in this world. And if I would give up what I do to do something else, then I am, Baruch Hashem, very happy to think that I could do something else for a living. The question that I ask myself is, in which capacity did Hashem create me? What to do what? My whole track was always I was going to go to Ner Yisrael, I was going to finish and go to law school at Johns Hopkins University. That was my plan, I was going to be a lawyer. My default path to fall back on was to be a psychologist. That was my plan, my whole life. And then one day I gave my parents the worst news of their life, and that was, I'm going to be a rabbi. But that came after a lot of, no brainwashing, definitely not inside, I'm part of my family of, you should be a rabbi, go up, and that definitely wasn't something I was pushed in my family to become. And not even in my schooling. To tell you the truth, in Baltimore there was still is big disdain towards those who go to the pulpit. Even if it's covertly. It's the standard Lithuanian approach to rabbinics. Rabbinics are, to make it as a Torah scholar is not the same thing as becoming a successful pulpit rabbi. In fact, most of the people who are pulpit rabbis are there because they couldn't make it successfully as a Torah scholar. That's the approach of that community. I'm not telling you if it's right or wrong. Just that's the worldview. There was a certain point which I had to sit down and say, how could I contribute to Klal Yisrael the most? And it's a decision that I made, and it shifts because as the years turn and our community goes into different areas and regroups and does whatever our community does, the hat changes slightly. I don't normally wear a hat either, but the job description changes from here to there. But it's part of that experience that Rabbi Yonatan is going to speak about right now. And we have to do ourselves the favor of removing any preconceived notions from our mind before we read this. Now he's talking about the prophets and the Hasidim and Tzadikim. אבל עליך ליתן דעתך, you should be aware כי שלילת גאוותם, that their lack of arrogance, וכן פרישותם, and their abstinence, והסתפקותם, and their contentment with little, גרמו להם שיקבלו מה שניתן להם מן המתנות. It caused them to accept whatever gifts were brought to them כדרך שהעני מקבל נדבה. The way a poor person accepts a handout. Imagine the situation. You might feel, I go to a wedding. Yeah, imagine. Do a wedding. How much money does a band charge to do the wedding?
4,000.
Give me a number.
4,000.
4,000? 3,000? 4,000? Okay. What about the people who do the flowers? How much do they charge?
2,000.
Part of the bunch because they're not.
2,000.
And the
Tables.
Those are Hawaiian.
Those are 2,000. What did you say? What about the photographer and the videographer?
They'll charge a bunch too.
1,500.
1,500. They found a cheap photographer. Yeah, okay, but let's say 1,500.
Mario.
The caterer?
Oh, it's a big deal.
Several thousand.
Caterer is a big number. It depends how many
10,
people.
20,000.
Yeah.
Really?
For an average size wedding.
How much you say?
20.
20,000.
Wow.
A bill of
Depends on the number of
My
people.
daughter's
Yeah.
wedding was
I'll say 10.
Let me just see through all these
Must
numbers
be
out there.
vegetarian then.
We're at
It's really
27,000.
Okay, we threw those numbers out there, right? How much money do I charge to do a wedding? I don't charge at all. That's a fact. People give me money at the end of weddings. Oftentimes, someone does give me a donation at the end of the wedding. Imagine how much money is the most money I ever got to do a wedding in my whole life.
Oh, per hour, like $1.50.
No, the most money that I got to do the wedding, to stay for the Shever B'chol, to teach the couple for months beforehand, to write their ketubah, to teach them the halachot, the family purity.
500.
I've never made more than $500 off a chuppah. Never.
All of that?
Never.
I did not have insider information.
500
Yeah.
cheap.
Wait, understand. Without the flowers, could they have had a wedding?
We'll break that record.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, they could have
Yeah.
Yeah. Without the tablecloths they rented at $15 a piece.
Yes.
The photographer, they don't have a photographer by the wedding. The only person they actually need at the wedding, aside from the baker who made the challah, because that's what you need, the bare minimum to eat. You don't even need the caterer, just the baker. And myself, there would be no wedding.
That's all I need in a wedding. Yeah. Perfect.
You need bread and a rabbi to do the wedding. And the wine. But see, I bring my own wine. I bring my own wine. Oftentimes, I bring my own ketubah.
Don't get ahead of yourself.
Yeah. I even bring my own pen to fill out the ketubah.
How come?
Everything. Wait. I'm not here to complain to you. So now somebody comes over to me at the end of the chuppah. And imagine, it's never, I tell you, once in my life I got $500. But let's imagine it was that one time they gave me $500. What's the feeling when they give me that money?
You feel great.
How do they feel?
Well, they feel like they really shelled out.
Right. They feel like, wow, we gave that rabbi $500. We paid him
quite
off.
a tip,
He should come and thank us for the rest of his life. That's the attitude that you have. Even from really nice people. I'm talking nice people. I'm not talking about I don't marry off arrogant people. Nice people.
The thing I hear the most going around the Jewish communities in terms of complaints is always about, oh, that rabbi charges so much money and he took so much money and they're raising funds off the Torah and this.
Imagine if I was a lawyer and I charged to do somebody's wedding. Just imagine that rate.
Per hour.
I would charge them per hour.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, I didn't even charge.
charge
So this
per
is
minute.
somebody who I come their wedding and say, I will not take a penny from you. Now they want to give me a gift afterwards. This is a gift. I didn't ask for it, and I'm not expecting it either. I've done a number of weddings. I don't think I made money from a wedding in at least 2 years. So, that person gives me money, and then they feel like, wow, we paid off our, like you said, like they really shelled out. And the feeling that I have is like a poor person who's receiving some handout. I cannot tell you the busha that goes through me. Most often than not, I try to give the money back. Because for the $200, the $180, the $36 check, it's not worth that feeling of wow. Like
It's degrading.
yeah, now there's also, what, you wanted a $3,000 check? No, I didn't ask for any
Yeah.
money. It would be better for you if we didn't do this. Or it would be better if a person gives you the gift and they treat you like, thank you for doing me a favor, this is the least that I could do, right? But nobody says that. It's always this feeling of, you better be appreciative, you'll be so happy. That's by nice people, they're nice people. They don't even mean to say it that way. But then they paid me like they paid the caterer, and they paid the flower person, they paid everybody feel, so now we cut out. And what do I feel? Like when we say in the tefillah of Yom Kippur, K'ani ha'omed ba'petach, like a poor person who's waiting by the doorway. That busha, I cannot explain to you unless you've been in a situation similar to that. And people have been, I'm sure people have been. But this happens to me constantly. There are always people who come and want to give the rabbi, it's not for the bit. There are people who give the bit. Some people add a little bit, take this, take that. The attitude that a person has when they give it, even if they're trying to be nice, is not aware of what, and I know it sounds funny, because again, our whole concept is the cut upside down. You should be happy for whatever dollar you get. No, because I also have dignity and I also have integrity, and I would like to believe that if I wasn't here and there was a community without a rabbi, so it would be much more difficult to do a brit milah or a wedding or to do a get or to do a conversion or to do whatever else that we do. And therefore, that feeling that a person has, and I'm not complaining to anybody here, that's not the point of my conversation. Says Rabbi Yonatan Halevy, even though they received financial aid, the prophets, we paid them, that's how they lived. The Jewish community used to come and get blessings and give them a donation. That's how they lived. But don't think for a moment that made them feel like, oh look, I'm on top of the world, everybody's fine. To the contrary, they came from this place of, that's you think Yecheskel the prophet or Yeshayahu the prophet could have made a better living, telling stories in a
I thought that one of the prerequisites for Nevuah was in being independently wealthy.
Correct, not the point. Like you have many Hasidic rabbis who are wealthy, but people will still give them donations for a blessing. Now, be very careful. The prophets did not ask for money. This is exactly the model that is trying to be emulated here. They're not going around to, this is how much you have to pay for this. You want to have a prophecy about your wife, that's another, $3,000 fee. That's not how they worked. But it was like, you spend now the prophet's time. You want to help them out afterwards. Even if it's gifts of food or whatever else you find in the prophets. Sleeping in their house, whatever it would be. It says Rabbi Yonatan Halevy, it was because of their need for little and their humility that they were able to accept these handouts from people. V'chol zot mipnei choser gavatam, this is all because of their lack of arrogance. U'mipnei yediatam ki hanitan lahem ba mi'ito yitaleh v'noten eno ela metavech. They say, this money that I just received is from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The person who gave it to me is only a messenger. I like the messenger, they're my friend, there's a reason why they gave it to me. But they're simply a messenger from Hashem. I'm going to leave this second part for a second. To realize that people are merely messengers. I cannot tell you the amount of times in my life where I didn't know, I'm talking recent life, not far away life. Baruch Hashem, there are basic things that the community, everybody here is a part of covering. My rent, Baruch Hashem, there are months where it's difficult for everything in the community, but my rent and certain bills and food that we do for Shabbat, it's not all coming out of my own personal account. But there are small things. My kids' tuition. So I have to pay every month.
That's not small.
My wife's iPhone falls and breaks. And you need $100 to fix it, yeah? Where do you get $100 from when you don't make $100? A small thing of, your kid wants to go, you're walking somewhere, you're walking through a mall with them, you're walking through a beach with them, wherever you went to go visit somebody, and then they see ice cream and they want it, but ice cream and the beach is like $8.99 a scoop. and you have 2 kids. What do you do then? Where do you get those dollars from? I cannot tell you how many times it has been, mamash, one after the next, that somebody says, "Oh, Rabbi, it's good to see you. I haven't seen you in a long time. Here's $20. I owe you from something you did for me, or that phone call I gave you." You should know, I didn't ever ask the person for $20. Mamash, not. No people call me. If I charge for everybody who called me, I can make more money from all the people who call me that I don't give a chance to even call them back. I would make more money from that. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu, at that point in time, found a way to give me $20.
But isn't there derech eretz with a more tzniut way of doing it?
No, the person didn't intend to embarrass me. In fact, if it wasn't for them giving me $20, I wouldn't know what I would do now with ice cream.
Oh, I see.
So I'm grateful for that opportunity, but I realized very quickly that this was HaKadosh Baruch Hu's way of helping me out in a time where I needed it. And I thank this person only as a messenger of Hashem. Not that I'm ungrateful to them. There are a lot of messengers of Hashem that are AWOL. They're not doing their job. Those people I'm not... But this is a concept that it's exactly the opposite of how we are taught to think about Talmidei Chachamim when it comes to money, about how we give tzedakah to people. We come from the exact opposite place. Of, oh my gosh, the rabbi came, he did the wedding, and he walked away with a check? Can't believe it. Can you imagine someone say the same thing about the caterer? Can you believe it? He came, he cooked food for all these people, and he took money for it? Can you imagine that?
Don't say that.
Why would they expect you to anybody to do something for nothing?
I don't know, but it's the feeling. And I'm telling you as a rabbi who doesn't charge for things. There are people who don't mind. I'm part of a number of rabbinic groups on the internet. You should see the feed, have like a chart of what they charge for people. I even know a rabbi who has a sliding scale. I mean, they have like a whole method figured out. You tell them how much you make every year. They tell you how much they're going to charge for your son's bar mitzvah. Nowhere near that world. Baruch Hashem. I'm telling you, mamash, I think I've given Hamapel, like $40 in my life. I don't think I've ever... One day I'll have more, I'll give more, but...
$40 doing a wedding?
No, my rabbi. I don't think I ever paid him to... You know how often I bother him? In the middle of the night, I send him letters, I send him people to bother him. Nothing. How much did we pay Rav Peretz for the conversion we did in Israel? Nothing. He came with us an hour out of his way to another city to do the conversion and come back because we had a mikveh. He didn't even he just made sure that we would pay the lady at the mikveh. That's all he asked us for. Please make sure that she gets compensated for opening up the door. So that part of being a Navi is to realize you have your job. Am Yisrael has their job. Because that's why HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives them money. And both people that are part of this process, both the one who's receiving and the one who's giving, have to realize we're not doing anybody favors. We are both part of a system that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created. It's a perfect system. It's a just system. And that's why it's called tzedakah. The tzedek, the righteousness of Hashem. That's why it is what it is. And he says, last but not least, the person who gives tzedakah, he also receives all kinds of pleasure, abundant goodness, blessing. When somebody who goes to a Hasidic Rebbe, for example, to get a blessing, and they leave them a donation. There are these fake Hasidic Rebbes that have like credit card machines, swipe here. That's not what. I'm not talking about those people. No. Person who goes, they sit, they speak, they talk about their life, their divorce they're going through, their kids that are making their problem, whatever it is that they're struggling with at the moment, and the Rebbe sits with them and blesses them. They feel, and you can argue about this whole concept, but it's not a new one that Hasidim made up. They feel like they also got something from that conversation. Just like you go to a therapist and you pay them, and what do they do for you? Just having someone to hear, to speak, to give you advice, that's an important thing. Mm-hmm. The same thing with a prophet. He also gave to this person. Dvorah, the prophetess, when she comes and people are asking her questions, she's to judge between people. That's also something that she did. What about a mediator or an arbitrator? How much would he pay them?
$200 an hour.
How much? $200 an hour? Is that the going rate?
Or if it's a judge, it could be $400 or $500.
Very good. See? You know how many times rabbis, less myself, we don't have Baruch Hashem, our community doesn't fight so much. But there are communities where there are people who fight, you don't even know the kind of fights people have with each other. And it's always the rabbi, if somehow two people did business with each other, it goes sour, now it's the rabbi's fault. How is it his fault? He doesn't know. Hours and hours and days and weeks and months, they're paying their lawyers and they're paying and the rabbi? With all those nights in his house, he doesn't see his kids, he doesn't see his wife, anyone ever think about that? Because we're taught to think about tzedakah as if I'm doing someone a favor. That's how we were raised. It's not our fault. The Rabbeinu Avraham is putting in this note here, just so that a person may be a tzaddik who is content with little, who is abstinent, who has no arrogance, and lives off of tzedakah, not because he's entitled to something, because he realizes that's where HaKadosh Baruch Hu put him in this circle of life. And that's not embarrassing. That's not a problem. That's simply the way Hashem makes this world work. It's not the kind of thing that's stop in the middle. And see the proof here. When Shaul tells his attendant, Shaul is traveling to Shmuel. Who's Shmuel? He's the prophet. They're coming to him. We will go. ומה נביא לאיש כי הלחם אזל מקלנו וצורה אין להביא. Someone have a Tanakh. Can you look for me if this is tsura or tshura with a shin? Yeah, you're going to look in Shmuel 1:9-7. You have this word in remember in our slichot, u'tshura en lavi. It's part of the what's the song that we say? It's quoted from here, but over there it's with a shin. So I want to know who got it right.
Well, first I have to find Shmuel.
Sure.
So I'm not going to do that.
Here, I'll
Sorry.
it's okay. Alright. So the Navi says,
Shmuel what?
no, look at that. The Tanakh says, Ut Shura. You see that? There's a mistake in the book.
In this book.
Yeah,
Where is
and
it?
look on page 324.
Which one?
The first one on line, under the word Shmuel, it says Ut Shura. It says with a sin. It should be a shin. Should fix that so in the future.
Oh, no, okay. I don't know where it is.
Look at the
Oh,
Hebrew.
Shmuel? No.
Yeah. Underneath it, there's a
So
word
the dot
Ut
should be
Shura.
moved.
The dot has to be moved one over.
Did that change the whole word concept?
Yeah. You see 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 lines up from the bottom of the page. The first word on the line. What does it say?
Surah.
Shmuel?
No, underneath it.
Surah.
Oh,
Yeah. You see that?
Surah was a Shura.
So Shmuel tells his attendant, look, Shaul tells the attendant, we're coming to Shmuel,
I'm not saying
but all of our bread is gone. There's no gifts to bring to the Ish Elohim, to the man of Hashem. Ma'itanu, so what are we going to do? What do we have? V'na'aro heshiv lo, and his attendant answers him, Hine nimtza biyadi reva shekel kesef. I have a quarter shekel of silver. V'natati li'ish Elohim v'yigid lanu et darkenu. I will give it to the man of Hashem, and he will tell us our way. ומכאן ראיה כי כך עשו רוב המביאים מנחה אל איש אלוהים. From here, we have a proof that this was standard procedure when visiting a man of Hashem. Now, I'll tell you something that might help us. And that is that we sometimes, the Rambam says that you're not allowed to be extreme in either direction. The only time you can be extreme in one direction is when there's a problem in the other direction, so you are extreme in the opposite direction. So let's say somebody is excessively calm. You're not allowed to be excessively angry. But if you have a problem and you don't know how to stand up for yourself, and you let yourself be abused and hurt, part of learning is to know how to knock yourself back to the middle, and the way you do that is to temporarily go to the other extreme. It could be that our generation has a really bad taste from a lot of charlatans and hocus pocus magicians and all kinds of people who steal money in the name of the Torah from people, from innocent people. You know, when we go to a Peretz Tadir Bracha, it's free. There was a lady that came to a Peretz Tadir Bracha. She needed something. She was very sick. And the Peretz, I'll give you a bracha. She said, no, I want a segula, not just a bracha. I want a special, amulet, something. I said, listen, lady, I don't do amulets. I can tell you the 3 things that are promised to work. Tshuva, tefillah, give tzedakah, you're going to be okay. You're a fake rabbi, she said. She walked out on him. Later, Alapet met her husband. What happened? Oh, she found a Kabbalist. He took from her 180,000 shekels. Wrote for her a little scroll on parchment. Knowing what happened? Oh, she's still sick.
Oh.
That person is a Mechalesh HaShamayim, is a desecrator of Hashem's name. And it could be that our generation is so used to meeting people that are taking other people's money in the name of the Torah that we have a really hard time associating positive messages with people who accept money on behalf of their Torah. I'm going to judge our generation favorably like that. It could be. And, I mean, even though this is true and it's in the prophets, I'm like, okay, maybe Shmuel had a problem also. That's our reaction. But we have to realize that if Shmuel is doing something, Shaul is doing something, this is okay. And it's something by us that has been problematic. וכן דברי ירובעם אל אשתו. Yerovam, when tells his wife, כשהלכה לאחיה השילוני, when he goes to Achia the prophet, what does Yerovam tell her? ולקח בידך 10 לחם וניקודים ובקבוק דבש ובאת אליו והוא יגיד לך מה יהיה לנער. Go bring him 10 loaves of bread, crackers, a bottle of honey. And he'll tell you what will be with the boy. וכן מה שנאמר באלישע, you find also by אלישע. ואיש בא מבעל של אישה, ויבא לאיש אלוהים לחם ביכורים, 20 לחם שעורים וחרמל בצקלונו, ויאמר תן לעם ויאכלו. A man came from Baal Shalisha and he brought the prophet bread of the first crop, 20 loaves of barley bread, and fresh grain in his sack, and he said, give it to the people, and they will eat. From here, says Rabbeinu Avraham ben Abba, V'chol zeh ra'aya shekach haya minhagam. This is all a proof that this was the standard protocol in the times of the Torah. Mistapkim b'mu'at, the prophets were content with the little that Hashem decided they should have. U'mekablim matanot, and they accept gifts. Avalo mikol adam. But not from everyone. But not from everyone. And he's going to talk about it in this chapter about not taking from everyone. You'll see on page 328. You can't take money from those who are immoral. You can't take money from a guy who you know is a mafionaire. He gets money from killing people and throwing their body into a river somewhere. There's not you can't say, oh, but he wanted to help. I mean, it doesn't help. You have to also, the source of your money should be from a kasher place.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Also, people want to control you with their money.
Oh, very good. I'm going to talk about this in a second. וזה אחד המנהגים שהעתיקום פרושי האסלאם. This is one of the many customs that the Prushei HaIslam means the Pharisees of the Muslims. Literally the ones who are abstinent from this world, the spiritual Muslims. This is referring to as the Sufis. If you don't know what Sufis are, I suggest you Google it. Lechol mimatanot Hashem, to sustain themselves on Hashem's gifts that are brought through human messengers. And Rabbi Avraham also, throughout his book, by the way, makes mention to the Sufis and to the way of life in which they lived, and many of their customs come from the prophets of Am Yisrael.
Prostration.
There's so much to say here, by the way, about the fact that Rabbi Avraham ben Rambam quotes a non-Jewish custom, a religious non-Jewish custom, in a positive way. You don't find parallels to this in other types of literature from other cultures and other Jewish denominations. Yeah, why? That's really, it's a whole new world, a whole new class, a whole conversation. But that's not what I want to walk away with from this today. The prophets, the Talmidei Chachamim, who later replaced the prophets, are not people who believe that the people should not take care of them. I mean, that's their job. That the Kohanim, the Levim, what do? All of our tithes and our Maaser and our Tumah and all those things that we bring to the Kohanim and Levim are meant to sustain them. It's about shifting our consciousness of thinking we're not doing them a favor. What would we do if we didn't have Kohanim and Levim? What would the Beit HaMikdash look like? It would be shuttered up. It would be closed. If we want to see this continue, so we do our part in supporting it. Does that make me a... I have to say something to the people in Kehillat Shaar. Look around the room and tell me how many dedication plaques you see.
Some synagogues they are.
Look. Even the ones you have are hidden inside of Sidurim or are inside of the Sefer Torah. Some communities, can you imagine that someone donates Sefer Torah and they want their name on the front of Sefer Torah? Now, it's such standard custom that you probably think it's funny that I'm even bringing it up. I was once in a synagogue and they had a political slogan embroidered on the Sefer Torah's mantle. Someone donated the Sefer Torah for a political cause. And I was walking by and I told the rabbi, I said, I'm sorry, I can't kiss the Torah. You put me in a very harsh predicament. On one hand, this Torah is neutral. It's all of ours. How can you write something on it that would marginalize people who don't... And now I'm kissing the Torah. You also think I'm kissing your political slogan. If stupid people, listen to me because I say stupid very, very properly. They write all kinds of things on their kippot here. Those of you who know what I'm saying, you understand. It's not enough that they want to worship idols. It's not enough that they want to lose their portion of the world to come. It's not enough that they want to desecrate big tzaddikim who are holier than they could ever be. They also want to do it on their kippah so the whole world should know how stupid they are. Since when did you take a kippah, something that belongs to all of Am Yisrael, and turn it into a political statement? Since when did we do... You never found such a thing. People do this all the time. I'm not against people. If someone donates a building and they want it to be called so-and-so family building, listen, you have to do what it takes to the world is a world, and then there are expectations in the world, and fine, Baruch Hashem. But there's something really beautiful to be said about people who they do not just because they need everyone to know about it. It's not that we're hiding it. Look, everyone knows which Sefer Torah was donated by who and which, and if you've donated something in this room, you know exactly what it was that you donated.
So they do it for that purpose.
But we know, and we get the respect that we need. We get the thank you. We get the acknowledgement. And Baruch Hashem, I did this for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They say, that in some synagogues, people they'll donate everything except for the toilet paper, because it's really hard to use toilet paper when it has plaques on it. But it's where you've come to in the Jewish world. That we do things and we think, I'm built a Beit Knesset, so now I am the owner of the world. I'm such a special. Imagine what mitzvah you have in your hands, that you built a Beit Knesset, and Hashem gave you that zechut. Imagine what special thing Shlomo did, that he had in his merit to build a temple, to build a Beit Mikdash. Imagine if Shlomo also put a plaque on it. It would look like a mockery. You know why HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted you to be the one to do this. This is something that must be thought about and consistently. You have to train yourself to reach this place. There's a homeless person who stands outside of not far from where Elchanan goes to school. And we stop a lot, and I always try when I get change, they ask you want money back. So what am I gonna do with cash? I have cash, you waste it. But I always ask for $4 back. I only have singles in my car. And we stop, and we always give this man $1. And Elchanan knows, but this is the guy who doesn't have a house? Yeah. This is the guy who doesn't have a car? Yeah. But why do you give him money? I had to think about that question for a long time. Why do we give him money? So I told him, I said, I don't know why it works this way. But Hashem sent me money and asked me to give it to him. Because that's how Hashem gives money to people. He gives it to us, and we give it to other people. And I was like, oh, okay. That makes sense. So whenever we drive by, sometimes I'll say, but do you have money from Hashem to give to him? But that has to be, and it's easy for me to say it about $1. It's much harder to say it in bigger amounts. Or if it's not just money, it's life, it's energy, it's emotions, it's the things that we put in, it's our guts that we put into the projects. But to realize that it's a zechut that fell in our lap to help somebody else. You have a child, your child needs your help. You help pay for their college, sometimes you help them with their rent because they're not always making it, or you help them with an airplane ticket once a week, whatever it is that you help your child. I think HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave me the ability to do tzedakah. And not just tzedakah to some random stranger, but to somebody who's from my flesh. From my family, my child. I'm able to do the mitzvah of tzedakah and take care of my own. It should be a zechut. Wow, it's incredible I had that zechut. I know people whose parents are wealthy people, and they don't have food in their homes. Because they come from families where, go work like I worked, you go work also. That person's trying. They try. It's not like they're not trying. Not everybody has the same mazal. What do you think? Hashem made you so wealthy so you should keep it in your bank account? Hashem made you wealthy so that people in your family need. What does the Torah say? From your flesh, you can't look the other way. If you have poor people in your city, and people come to collect from another city, the people from your city deserve first. How much more so people from your family versus the neighbors down the street? You have someone in your family that needs your help. It's nice that you make money. It's nice that they're your sibling and you them and you don't want to. But you're going to go to sleep tonight and you're going to know that you have a sibling who needs your help and you're not giving it? How could you? It's not the person you don't know about, this metaphorical tzedakah needer who needs. And so what's going to happen? I'm afraid I don't want to embarrass my family member. It's more embarrassing for them to have all their creditors call them and to have their children chased out of school. And that's more embarrassing. Stop pretending about embarrassment. People are afraid to talk about tzedakah. I don't know why it's this taboo. You have to be honest about it. English people gave us each other. If we don't take care of each other, who's going to take care of us? The Jewish community is very special. We hear somebody has a medical problem, we jump in to help it. We hear somebody... So the things that we hear about, we take care of. But there are a lot of things we don't hear about, or we know about, but other people don't tell us about. It's our job, get your hands dirty. It's okay. It comes around. A rabbi says it's a turning wheel. Sometimes you're on top of this wheel, sometimes you're at the bottom of the wheel. And all you want to make sure is that when you're at the bottom of that wheel, that nobody treats you the way you treated people when you were on the top of the wheel. The only person, says the Aruch HaShulchan, who's exempt from riding this roller coaster called Parnasah, I don't even know if it's true, but the Aruch HaShulchan says, are people who collect money for other people. Not for themselves. They have money. But they hear there's somebody else who's financially struggling. So they go and they'll go door to door and collect so they don't have to be embarrassed. Says Aruch HaShulchan that merit might exempt you from getting off the roller coaster. Because you don't only collect for yourself, you collect for other people. So you don't need to be part of this roller coaster because you already realized the whole point of it. When a person takes, when a person gives, it's not here. The Kehillat says a rabbi has to be very careful talking about tzedakah because people might think that you're talking about yourself. You're trying to get money for yourself. I'm not talking about myself. But when you see the order of the world, and you see there are Talmidei Chachamim, now what bothers us about some is that you're not crucial to the Jewish people. What you're doing is not, it's just waste of time. I'm talking about Talmidei Chachamim that are crucial to you. So I'll give you an example. In San Diego, you don't have a problem of Torah scholars who are not crucial to the city. You have rabbis of communities. You have rabbis, or maybe you do. I don't know. You have rabbis in schools. You have the teachers of your children. You have the people who are involved in kosher certification. The people that are involved in whatever other dealings there are in this city. So those people are crucial to your well-being in San Diego. Those people are not just taking from you. That's not the truth. The truth is they're giving to you also. Now, are there people that are abusing this? Like I told you before, there are every system, you're going to have people abuse it. I'm not talking about the fake people that are, they have their own calculations with Hashem at the end of 120. Why it is they did what they did under the guise of Torah. I'm talking about real people. In this community, every time we do kaparot, we do matanot levyonim, I go and I give this money, they still don't know who it is from. It's not a lot of money, but it's money. Only to Talmidei Chachamim that are in San Diego, Torah scholars, who simply don't have. They live with us. Their kids go to school with us. I didn't even get to Israel. I didn't even get to New York. I didn't get to the... I'm talking about our own community. The attitude has to change. The Rebbe says this is part... They're doing their part of being pushim, of being abstinent, of being content with very little. How can it be? How can it be that? If our parents would come visit my home, I'd be very embarrassed. How come that I live in a home that has 3 bedrooms and a living room and a porch, and he lives in a 1.5 bedroom apartment that's smaller than this room? How could it be? So for whatever, he thinks he's very happy with it. For him, you ask him, are you complaining? He'll never complain. Baruch Hashem, I have a house. I own the house. It's an incredible thing for him. But you have some people. I'm telling you the mashal. That was a parable. They live in a 17-bedroom home with themselves and their spouse and their poodle who wears a diamond collar. And then there are people who have 6 children that are living in a studio apartment, 300 square feet. They're all sharing one bathroom that half the time is broken, so they go to the recreational, Stanley Park, wherever they go to shower. How could it be? That's not a system that makes sense to anybody. Couldn't be. I'm not a socialist. So don't come here. I'm not going to take away your 16 of your bedrooms. That's not what I'm trying to do right now. But to realize that a Kadosh Baruch Hu created a world. There's Hashem. How come those people don't have money? Why? A Kadosh Baruch Hu gave money for them. Hazanat ha'olam kulo. Hashem takes care of the whole world. But sometimes the money gets stuck somewhere. Sometimes you ship somebody a package and it gets stuck in customs. But imagine if customs made it routine to steal your packages. How would you feel about that?
TSA.
Very good. But that's what terrified everybody. I mean, we're trusting you to check our bags, not to go through our bags and take whatever you want. It's not a smorgasbord. In the airport, take a little bit of
For
here.
some of them, Denise baked like 3 dozen rugelach for Daron, shipped it off. He went back to yeshiva in his suitcase thinking like, wow, I'm gonna be all set for the next few weeks. And then he got inspected by TSA, like 3 little crumbs were left.
My mother's had her phone. My mother's had her phone stolen in the airport by the people in the security. That's some things. Don't think. And they busted a few people in New York. And every time you hear on the news a story, they busted a guy. But imagine if that's the way Hashem Parnasah works. Hashem gives enough Parnasah to this world to take care of everybody. Some people are stealing from Hashem. And then the people who need it don't get it. And then Hashem reinvests. That wealthy person, they don't deserve to have money anymore because they're not doing what they should do, so he gives it to somebody else. And then, how come Hashem took away all my money? If I had money, I would have given tzedakah. Let's be honest with each other. There's a world, tzedakah, tzedek. It's not charity. It's righteousness. And Rabbi Yonatan is trying to drive this point that it's because the tzaddikim are humble that they're willing to take those handouts. Willing to take. When we give them money, why are they willing to take? They're not doing me a favor. They are doing you a favor. That's what we don't understand. They are doing us a favor. When I give to Talmid Chacham and he takes and therefore he does more mitzvot, he did me a favor. I have now a hand in all of his mitzvot. You are all part of Kehillat HaShamayim. So everything that you do for this community, and then what do we do with this community? We put up YouTube videos, we put out a book, we write articles, we host people for Shabbatot. All of those mitzvot. You have 1,000 people who watched a YouTube video. You get from those mitzvot. You think it all comes back? Everybody who invests in this endeavor comes back with something. And that's why we do what we do. Because we realize that we're all part of this in one way or another. It's not me alone, it's not you alone, it's not... We're all invested in this. Now, some people say that investment is not paying off as well as some of my other investments. Maybe to your naked eye. But you go up to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and Hashem says, wow, you taught 50,000 people Torah? Me? I didn't teach anybody Torah. You did, because you were part of somewhere that enabled people to learn Torah. So you're part of that mitzvah. All of those mitzvot come to you. That's the way the world works. We say a crazy thing. We say, Hashem, you create many souls, and the things that they're lacking. Why would you thank Hashem for creating imperfect people?
For do our part.
For?
So we have to do our part.
Very good. It's like a puzzle. Some puzzle pieces are missing and some puzzle pieces have another extra piece sticking out. We're all responsible to fill in the void for each other. We're all part of Am Yisrael. This is not some cutesy, metaphorical Jewish concept. This is real. This is real life. We see gaps in the Jewish community that we can fill. We see gaps in all of the world that we can fill. That's our job, to step up to the plate and do it. Some of us, we are the gaps. So it's our job to enable other people to be able to give. Now there's a whole world of halachot for how does a person receive tzedakah properly? How do you deal with tzedakah properly that you get? And for those who give, you should be very proud of yourselves because you're showing, I have emunah in Hashem. Imagine you told a person that every month you give X amount of money to tzedakah. Are you crazy? You go to work and you give away your money more than the taxes that people complain about taxes. Tell them what you pay for Jewish things on top of your taxes. They'll think you're crazy. Now they're robbing you blind over there. No, you don't understand. I have more obligations than you think you have. You just pay a few $100 to Medicare, to Social Security. I'm paying for the whole world. I'm taking care of the whole world. That's part of what I believe in. Don't be afraid. Hashem created many nefashot. And things that needed to be filled in. Sometimes we are those people. And when a person is on the receiving end, you don't need to be embarrassed. It's embarrassing enough. It's hard enough to be on that receiving end. Trust me, I know. But you're also fulfilling your part of this world. I'm fulfilling my part. You're fulfilling your part. Everyone is fulfilling their part. Sometimes in this point in time, Hashem decided that I'm going to be from the takers. But I don't understand the world. I don't understand a lot of things that happens in the world. But that's what Hashem wanted right now. Don't be embarrassed from that. Somebody's helping you out. A family member helped you out. A friend helped you out. You help them do a mitzvah also. If you're loyal to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, if you take everybody's money and then you run away to another country, that's a different story. But if you're part of the system and you accept tzedakah as part of the system, and you give tzedakah as part of the system, then really, Habutech Badonai, a person who trusts in Hashem, Chesed Yisovivenu, they'll find themselves surrounded by a whole world of Chesed. And it says, Olam Chesed Yibaneh. The whole world can be rebuilt, can be fixed, can be brought to perfection through Chesed. B'ezrat Hashem, we shall live to see that day happen very soon.